Hello, hello. Today we will be doing a replay analysis for this Jakiro player here. Send me a message on Reddit saying they've been watching the guide. Thanks for being here. And they've been having some trouble with aggressive offlaners slash four supports who just play really aggressively and either bully him out or bully the carry out. This is a Archon game. And this is a very common feeling for a lot of people, I think, where so this is where I want to start differentiating. One, there are some lanes that truly are straight up aggressive. I would say Sniper and Underlord definitely have that potential, but there are even some lanes that are even more aggressive than that. So like, let's say Clockwork or maybe Tusk, and then an offlaner like Beastmaster. There are many other combos that you could pick, but some combinations and heroes are just very aggressive. Then there is people who just play aggressively, even when their hero might be a bit more passive. Now, sometimes this can work if the enemy does not punish you. So, for example, this is what a lot of high MMR players do when they play in lower levels. They are not supposed to be able to play really aggressively with some of their heroes, but they do, and the enemy does not know how to respond, and so they don't get punished for it. And like, it wasn't supposed to work, but it is, and it's due to the fact that the enemy did not realize, like, I shouldn't let this happen, I should stop this. They either don't know how they don't know how it's supposed to go, or they don't know how to stop it. Usually it falls into one of these two categories. Like, truly they were supposed to be aggressive, or they weren't really supposed to be aggressive, but they got away with it. So that is something I want to point out at the start of this, and we're going to see how it plays out. There's actually two games. We'll see how much we get into in this first game here. Is you? Did you check your Wraith King's items? Brilliant. So we're watching Jakiro here first, playing position 5. I would guess, so we have our Wraith King carry, we know, on our team. The enemy team, I would guess you're probably against Underlord and Sniper. We're just imagining what'll happen. And so for our items, I'm okay with this. You've got your 2 tangos, you gave 2 to mid. You got 1 mango, 2 clarities, plenty of regen, I think. Now, I like the Windlace. I'm not sure why you bought the Windlace, so let's cover it just in case it's not the right reason. The reason I like the Windlace here is because Sniper is a very slow hero, and Underlord pressures you out in 2 ways. He can either auto attack you when he has gained several stacks in that passive and he has like this bonus damage, or he throws down Firestorm, and the longer you stand in it, the more damage you're going to take. Sniper works in a very similar manner, where you either stand in his shrapnel and you take a lot of damage, stand in his shrapnel and take a lot of damage, or he will chase you down and try to proc headshots and just auto attack a lot, and he'll abuse his move speed, and position 4s will often buy boots like this guy has. So both of these heroes will rely on you being slow to get off auto attacks, and so I like this Windlace. If you were just buying Windlace out of habit, it worked out this game, but I'm gonna point out the correct reason why. And let's think of alternatives you could have bought. Ring of Protection. It will protect you from right clicks from Sniper and Underlord, but it won't do anything about the magic damage. Same with Ring of Health, Sage's Mask. They're just not as much value as the Windlace, in my opinion. I might grab the Observer Ward if no one else wants it. But besides that, let us keep going. Now, you clicked Wraith King, so you should know that his items are not good. This magic stick. So anyone who plays Wraith King out here, let me really recommend a Ring of Protection. Your starting armor is just not that good. It's just at 2. And the Ring of Protection really is a very cheap purchase for Wraith Kings to really boost up their survivability. And, against an Underlord and Sniper, I would say he really needs the extra armor. This guy's going to be right-clicking him with bonus damage. This guy's going to be looking to proc headshot on him a lot. So the bonus armor would help a ton. This is going to, of course, you cannot control him. But just know he's going to take a lot more damage than he should. Essentially about 10% more physical damage than he should. And that can make it difficult for you, where you can play the way you're supposed to, but this guy's just going to be taking more damage. And sometimes it's like you just have to know that's not necessarily your fault. So you might we might see you make all the right plays and Wraith King still like dies. Could be because he doesn't have like good starting items. He has a stick to start against, you know, two people that don't spam spells. And Sniper like cast a spell out of stick range anyways a lot of the times. Wraith King needs to farm heavily. Let's point this out right now. Let's think about the carry versus carry matchup. PL is going to wreck Wraith King. Wraith King needs to hit level 20 and get his no mana cost talent because this guy's going to get a Diffusal and Wraith King is just going to be useless every single fight. So it's a little hard. You have some greedy heroes, to be honest. But Wraith King essentially just needs to farm a ton for like 25 minutes and get to... He'll probably go like... I mean, I don't know what he goes this game, but, you know, I might see something like Radiance into another farming item, maybe a BKB this game. And then eventually he's just going to be farming the whole time until he hits level 20. It doesn't even matter what his items are, actually. Whatever he chooses to build, he's just going to be farming the entire time till he hits 20 because he needs that talent. And he's just going to take fights that do not are not next to PL.
30 seconds to showtime.
And in fact, you guys kind of struggle to fight PL, so he might have to itemize specifically to kill PL. I would say it's a tough game in that sense. Looks like you guys are going for first blood. I like that with Mirana here. Slow down here, actually. So this is... I make this mistake too sometimes, so don't feel bad about it. First, nice dodge. Right here, I think you're trying to cast a Dual Breath. Let's see if you... Yeah, so you end up accidentally walking into it. So you click on Underlord to cast Dual Breath. And because of that, your hero follows him and casts it this way. Whereas if you click on the ground, you just target the ground, and you could have hit both of them. Not a huge deal. Well, kind of a huge deal. At the same time, you might still get this kill. Is this guy just named Mirana? How confusing. So she got a lot of right clicks off on Jakiro, or I'm sorry, on Wraith King, which she probably wouldn't have. She would have gotten like one less if you had hit her with a Dual Breath. Sounds pretty minor. It's like 50 damage, a little less. But if you're looking for like, you said you wanted in-depth focus on like these first 10 to 15 minutes, so that's what we're going to do. I would do this sooner too. I would do this like all the way. In fact, let's see how many times I have to press -10 seconds. Right here, you could start claritying. 15 seconds. And by the time you run back, it is a little scary because Dark Willow could be here and cancel it. So if you wanted to wait till like, till you pop like your head up on this high ground, see that she's not nearby, I would use the clarity like already. But this was 15 seconds ago, like right after you got that kill, you'd be like halfway done with your clarity somewhere here. And if you are scared of Dark Willow, you can just loop around the long way, right? So you get the kill here. If you're scared of her being here, just walk all the way around. Underlord is dead. He's not going to be in lane anytime soon, so you don't have to rush there. But at the same time, I wouldn't be that scared. I'd be okay. Especially because you have two clarities, I might be willing to just take the risk, pop it, walk down here, kind of like stand here, see that she's not here, and then like approach. And if I see her like waiting here, then it's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll run around. But if I don't see her, I probably just run down here, and then I loop this way, like all the way to the edge, just in case she's like near here to step down and attack. And then, you know, by the time you're here, you'll now know like if she's here, you're, you know, good to go or not. But that could just get you like half your clarity already, and instead you're gonna have to wait like 30 seconds from now, which is 1 minute. Whereas before you'd be done at the 45-second mark. And you would have about 90 more mana than you do right now. Not a huge deal, but just some small efficiency thing. Oh, this close. Don't run into it. Looks like Mirana wants to stick around, look for another kill. I think this is a great time to just... Right here. Dual Breath both of them. Isn't that going to push the lane? A little bit. It's not that big of a deal against a range creep like this, but you specifically have a Mirana this game. So if you Dual Breath right here, that makes them slow. That makes it easier to land an arrow. And I think that as he goes in for an auto attack, she could fire an arrow right now to hopefully hit through the trees. And you'd already be dealing damage and he'd be slower. So this helps the arrow to land. And it also gets your spell on cooldown. So first off, you cast it, you apply 100 damage, and start the slow to make the arrow easier to hit. Your slow probably ends at this point, but your dual breath is already getting off cooldown at this point. So if this arrow were to hit, in theory, I don't even know if this is what's going to happen, but you could like be standing over here and auto attacking, and then as he starts to run away, dual breath is almost off cooldown at this point, and then you use it. And then you can use it again, and that would secure the kill, assuming if she hit an arrow, of course. But I just think like hitting both people with dual breath is a lot of value, and you are starting to approach the full mana, so you don't want to actually get to that point. So I'd be okay with casting it again, and you'd still have enough mana to cast it, you know, a second, maybe even a third time. So anytime you can hit 2 people, I think it's a lot of value. And you'd only be hitting the range creep. It's not like you hit the entire creep wave. You'd just be hitting the range creep while the other creeps were kind of already... Some had already died off, so it's like not too big of a deal to balance the lane at this point. Oh, that was unfortunate. It just occurred to me that he died. It's actually wild. That's his own fault, I would say. This is potentially where having a salve in this lane could have been okay instead of a windlace. I definitely thought... It also just occurred to me, this isn't Sniper 4, which is really weird. I guess Sniper 5, this is Archon, so I guess people will like pick weird things more. It doesn't really change what your itemization should have been. I would have assumed she would have been 5 and he would have been 4. And so, like, even if I knew it was going to be a Dark Willow and Underlord lane, I'd still kind of be okay with Windlace as a purchase. I don't think he should die here. That is a little weird. But he did take a lot of damage earlier. Oh, that would have been a kill if he had hit. If the arrow had hit. And I think maybe... I think you should see her, that she is the one harassing him a bunch. And I think you should be casting Dual Breath on her and focusing her instead of chasing this guy around. But kind of like you, where I was watching from your perspective, and like I didn't fully realize this guy was so low because he is a little out of your sight. So I can understand why you didn't do it, but that is a good point, a good example of when like positioning your screen is like really important, or keeping an eye on your allies' health up here. I'm pretty bad about this, I'll be honest. I kind of depend a lot on like seeing their health. Something I need to work on myself. But that is where like positioning to make sure you can see like how your Wraith King is doing, or like just to move your camera around a lot is really important. She's gonna get away. Not a big deal. I mean, it's kind of a big deal, but she already got the kill, so at this point, you know. I would be thinking about pulling. I understand you guys want to get the kill, but I would just let Mirana chase it. So like, I think all of this is kind of unnecessary. So the second she gets away like this, and Wraith King just died, you have 2 choices. I think you should stand in this lane, like deny this range creep, deny this creep. He will respawn very soon. Oh, he's not gonna have teleport. That's kind of bad. Okay, I would just stay here and farm, or maybe let Mirana do it and you go to pull. But one of you should be absorbing the lane, and one of you should go do a pull. Because Mirana, or because Dark Willow, she didn't quite die, unlucky. But she got really low, which means she's probably going to have to back and or spend a lot of time by herself healing. Either way, that frees you up to pull. But like both of you chasing here, I don't think it's worth, even if you kill her. Like he's farming alone, and none of you really got that much experience because you guys were, I think you guys were out of range for a little bit. Anytime someone has an ability like Firestorm, Ion Shell, Shrapnel, these damage over time abilities that lower creeps into auto attack, into deny range, keep that in mind as something you can do, where you just stand outside and look to deny creeps. At level 1, it's not going to be, some of these won't even make it to like fully dying, but like anytime after that, it can be something you look to do. So right now, I would look to, oh, maybe this is okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm, yeah. I guess you guys got tempted in because the arrow hit, but you do have to keep in mind your levels. Because you guys started as a tri-lane and then because he died, you guys are really behind. So if you were level 2 instead of Mirana, I might consider this like more okay. But this guy's level 1. All he wants to do is farm right now. He doesn't care about kills. Doesn't care about any of that. If he can get last hits, that is all he needs right now. He has 2 right here, and the lanes will come in and balance out. This is all he wants to do. Especially because this guy is level 3 with a ton of damage from having farmed these creep waves, and he has 2 points in Firestorm. I mean, you're not going to know that, but most people are going to max out Firestorm. And like you try to go on him here, and as you see, like you guys just die because he's way stronger than you right now, and you guys don't actually have like a lot of spells. If you think about it, Mirana was level 2 and you two were level 1. That is 4 levels between the 2 of you, or between the 3 of you. These guys are level 2 and 3, which is 5 levels between 2 of them. So they actually have access to more spells than you guys do, despite only being 2 of them. Because Wraith King died and missed out on a ton of XP, and because you guys ran up here and missed some XP, this is just... I know it's really tempting because Mirana hit the arrow, but it's like not actually something you can kill. And this whole time, tri-laning is very difficult. Sorry, there's going to be a lot of ranting at the start. Tri-laning is extremely difficult. And I mess it up a lot, I feel like, when I get into a pub game and it's like, oh, we should tri-lane top. And it's like, in theory, yes, it sounds great. But man, is it hard. Someone has to be pulling, like, at all times. One person is zoning others out. The carry is farming the whole time. And if someone needs help zoning, then the other support comes in. But someone needs to be considering pulls or stacking, like, 24/7 to make a tri-lane work out against 2 offlaners. It can be a little different if there's only 1 offlaner. But actually, in that case, it's even more important to get pulls the entire time. And this is why it's so hard to tri-lane properly. Because if you don't get kills, like the way you guys are playing, where you're all in the lane, if you don't get kills, you're going to notice that it usually goes really poorly. You either have to get kills or zone them away from the wave. And neither of that has happened at the start due to Wraith King dying. He took like way too much damage on this kill. And then like died in a bad way here. And then TP'd and he's now dead again. Fortunately, that means he's going to be able to teleport back. But if I was you right now, what I would want to do, if you don't die right here, is to go pull. So you're alive, you should look to pull. Wraith King is up right now. And so like this is the time to pull. And so it's tempting to like stay in lane to get XP. But right now against their lane, you just need to be looking to deny as much as possible and pull a lot. If Mirana goes top, this lane is like in a really bad spot now. Oh, this is really bad. I could probably stop watching the video right now and just like chalk this up to a really bad start. We're going to keep going to see like how you can salvage it. But when the carry dies like this, he's level 1. The first death is like, okay. You know, you guys got to kill first. He teleports to lane. He's a little low. He should have played safer, but he gets killed. It sucks, but it's kind of understandable. And he comes back to lane. The lane is still salvageable at that point. The play you guys made here, and then he dies again, that kind of killed this lane. And then him dying here again is just a symptom of your really dead lane at this point. So what you should think about right now is getting this guy as much experience as possible to hit level 4 or 5. 5 ideally. At 5 you get 6 skeletons, and that's pretty good. 2 skeletons is not enough. 4 skeletons is like assable, but 6 skeletons gets you going in terms of like sped up farming. If he really has to leave the lane at like level 3, it's possible, but it's really tough, especially because he took stun. He doesn't have a pointed vampiric aura. This is why a lot of people start with a pointed vampiric aura, because it gives you some bonus damage. Actually, I don't know if that changed after this got nerfed a bit. And I get that he went stun because you have 3 down here, but This lane is in a really bad spot right now. Oops, I wasn't even looking at you. Okay, I would agree absorbing the XP because he can't come back to lane is a good call. Now that he's going to begin coming back to lane, now it's like return to only pulling. I don't think that hit. Did that? It is possible to only hit one of these. Dual Breath is an ice wave and then a fire wave, and it is possible to only hit one of them. Like sometimes you just slow them, or sometimes you just deal damage. Although that the second scenario there is like pretty uncommon. Yeah, so you need to like look to pull right now. I mean, not like right now, but like be thinking about pulling. Okay, here we go. Uh-oh. Okay, so in that case, I did think that was a little early, and I was gonna assume you pulled it all the way here, which I was gonna say, okay, that's gonna pull the whole wave. Not the best. I think you realize that is like, oh, okay, I don't necessarily want to pull the entire wave, and so you were trying to cut it off. If you hit it that early, just aim to pull the first two creeps. So just run all the way over here, and you will meet the creeps along the way. And so like you would want the attack to land when you're somewhere in front of the creeps like this. So if you ran in front of them and then it's like, oh, I'm too close, I'm going to pull the whole wave, then you just like keep walking with them and let the auto attack hit you when you're like here-ish or like up here-ish. And ultimately, if you pull the entire wave, it's pretty tough at this point. I can't emphasize enough how difficult the lane is at this point. So if you feel like everything I do feels wrong at this point, it's because everything you do at this point is extremely behind and makes everything very difficult. Even the right choices will still feel bad. The key point being that fight here, where you shouldn't have gone on him again. So I'm gonna point that out as like, this is the big thing you need to change, and then we're gonna keep going through the rest of these for a little bit more. Because this is a scenario that happens, so I feel like it should be covered. But just know, ideally, we wouldn't even be in this situation. But now that we are, we need to pull a lot. And you tried here. We won't go into it much more than that. If you missed it once, like, it happens. At least you knew you were supposed to be pulling. But keep in mind, you can do it again here. So I'd be looking to do that. Yeah. Well, it's not your fault that Wraith King came here. I don't know if you guys are communicating at all. I would kind of ignore her. If she was here, I would cast Dual Breath. At this point, you can still... it's close, but you might still be able to make the pull with a Windlace. But I'd probably just be ignoring her a bit and be heading to a pull. If she comes to interrupt you, like, whatever. You still have to try. And she's not... I don't think she can kill you. Like, I know you're kind of low, but she's also kind of low. And, like, you still had Dual Breath. So if she commits at that point, then you could fight back, I think. But you know she teleported back now, which means you have to try to pull again. So I would move up here, check the lane. This is not a good scenario to pull the hard camp because it's just going to, like, push past you, and then he's going to firestorm the wave and the hard camp. So we're going to let this creep wave go, and then you should pull the small camp here. That's what I think should be going on right now. Right now, you don't actually care about Wraith King getting farm because that point of the game is like ruined from the bad start. This point from now on is just getting him to level 5, and then he will go farm the jungle. That is what he should do. Or maybe at level 5, if the lane has stabilized a bit, he can farm here. But if the lane keeps going as badly as it kind of has, he should ditch it and go farm the jungle. So, like, when this guy firestorms and this guy's like, oh, I can't go in for last hits, it's like, whatever. Just get the XP, get to level 5, get 6 skeleton charges, and then get out of here. Full stack. Looks like you're going for the stack and the bounty runes. Did I miss something? Did you not commit? Why didn't you stay for this? Was it because he was... I think you should commit for the bounty rune here. I'm not sure if you saw something or like something got communicated to pull you back, But this guy's definitely dead. There's no saving this guy. So I would just get this bounty rune and get this bounty rune. Let this guy die. It's kind of his fault. He shouldn't have walked up here. And you can say that as well. Like, hey, I'm stacking, getting the rune, be careful. And if someone still goes out of position, it's honestly not your fault. They might flame you a bit. And I know that feels bad. And it's like, what's the right choice? Do I do what's not to get flamed, or do I do the right thing? It is up to you guys, but I want to point out what the correct play is, at least so you guys do know, regardless of what you choose to do. The correct play here is to stack. Stacking was fine. Then get this rune. Then get this rune. And then maybe even consider ganking mid, because he seems to be doing okay, at least in terms of level. You probably won't get a kill or anything, but, you know, if you already got this rune and you checked and he's like kind of low, you could maybe gank. In this case, he's not even in the lane, so it's like, okay, whatever, I'll just go back to the bottom lane. Or maybe you're here and you see that they're pressuring him here. Maybe you even teleport back. But turning around like right here is too soon. He's not going, like, he's not gonna, there's no saving that. And now they're gonna get the bounty runes. Be careful with your courier. Oh, that might not be yours. No, it is.
Radiant's bottom tower ain't a pretty sight right now.
What'd you buy? That one mango, or so you bought another mango and a tango and a clarity, or did you? Am I blind? You had that? Oh yeah. Okay. So I don't mind the clarity purchase. I don't mind the tango purchase, but I also think you could get away without it. Like, you are. When did you buy these items? Let's actually go back to that. For this? Okay, so buying items. I'm okay with the clarity. I think the clarity is good. I don't think you need another mango because you already have one mango. So, like, you know, what's the second mango for? I think you don't need that. I might pick up the other ward if I had a plan to move around a bit and place some vision. But he already has a ward over here, so you don't really need to. And so you can leave it for, like, say, your 4 position. So if you don't pick this up, that's okay. I don't really feel like you need to buy another tango here. I know you're at 2/3, but, like, you're at 2/3 with a decent amount of regen. And if you stand under the tower, like, it's a little... Well, you shouldn't just stand under the tower. But what I would probably do, I would probably buy this Ring of Regen then. And just let it passively heal me up instead of buying this tango. Because, you know, it's like half the cost. Tango is half the cost of a Ring of Regen. And so you're not in dire need of more healing right now. And honestly, because you're supposed to just be pulling a lot, like, I don't feel like you should take that much damage. You're not going to be in lane constantly trading, and that is when tangos are good. You're going to be off by yourself. That's when the Ring of Regen is more useful. So right now, I'd buy a Clarity, maybe even 2. I'd buy this Ring of Regen, maybe the ward, and then I would save for boots. Range drop is probably not worth it this game. They have quite a few ways to break it. I think they would break it too fast. It's probably not worth it. You could also buy a stick if you wanted to. I'd be okay with that. They're at the point where they are casting a decent amount of spells. So a stick would be okay, or just saving for the tranquils I think would also be acceptable. But I think this mango and another tango, a little unnecessary.
Radiant's mid tower's coming apart.
Didn't even see you buy the tango. Did I just miss that? So confused. Maybe they were already on the courier? Honestly, though, I don't hate the regen you bought. I think it's a little unoptimal, but I think it works. This is a pull, finally. It's a good one. Any pull would be good. And so you should just look to do it again, like right now.
Have fun trying to bust down Radiant structures now.
Can't kill her. Oh, unlucky. We won't go into it. I know you know that you're supposed to avoid these. It's not a big deal. Yeah, but I would just constantly be looking to pull this game. After the start you guys had, it's really hard to play aggressive. Maybe we can start turning the game here. Oh, look how tanky that guy is. This is chasing too far, I think. It's not chasing enough. Oh, seems like it's chasing too far. Oh, you're gonna get the kill though. But was that worth it? Let's go back. Let's consider how much we missed for that. Let's slow down. You guys begin chasing here. So all these creeps are gonna die. So ideally, I think Wraith King should have just stayed here alone. If the two of you want to chase, that's fine. He missed an entire creep wave. He is now back. And now he's farming, but now the lane is up here. Whereas maybe if he had stayed down here, he could have prevented it from walking under tower and kept the lane balance here. What did you guys get? Mirana died, but you did get the Underlord kill. So for you supports, this was okay. But I personally just think Wraith King should not chase this far. And I think you're not the carry, but you can say that. Like, when you guys are here, you're like, okay, maybe Wraith King, like, maybe just go back to the lane. Like, honestly, you guys didn't need to chase this far. If this Underlord gets away, but Wraith King is just here farming alone, I think that's perfectly acceptable. I don't think, like, if we back up more, I don't think Wraith King ever needed to commit to this. Like, I don't think he should have walked over here to do this. He should have just stayed here because this siege tank is siege creep is about to die, and these creeps will walk forward and he'll farm them here. And then you will just look to pull again. If she harasses you, that's when you turn dual breath and you guys fight. Mirana should save her arrow for her to go to do this. Shadow Realm? What's it actually called? Oh, it is Shadow Realm. Go into Shadow Realm, and then if she teleports out, that's when you arrow her. And if she just keeps walking with it, then it's like whatever. And if she turns to auto attack, then you can also fire an arrow there. But yeah, Wraith King just needs experience right now. And gold, but like I don't think he can get gold because he gets bullied out. So he just needs experience so he can go farm the jungle. So like anytime that's not happening, I'm like, it feels bad. And this is kind of ending up to be a more of a like a coaching session for this Wraith King, but I think you need to know this as a hard support player. I think you need to know what your carry needs to be doing so that you can enable that. And so like looking to fight a lot when your carry just needs experience is like also unideal if you're not sure you can get a kill. Like, anytime you end up on chase like this and you don't really get anything out of it, it's a waste of his time. He should just be farming. Oh no, this is why you guys chased. I went back too far. What am I saying? Actually, it still applies here. So yeah, those creeps were... I don't know. I still wouldn't chase this. Underlord's faster than like all of you guys, right? 340. Oh, 360 actually. Wraith King's faster, but he's stronger. This guy is deceptively strong because of his abilities, and I think chasing against a Dark Willow as well is also very scary, to say the least. I think you can see why. In the end, not too bad. You guys get a kill. Wraith King doesn't die, but just immediately look back to pull. See this wave right here? That should have been a pull. You can also maybe even do a hard pull here, but I'd say it's risky. I'd much rather you do a small pull here. I think that would be really good. Yeah, trying to do this hard pull now is like, I mean, you can even see, right? You can see why this won't work. You can try to hard pull, and if you do get it, even if you get it, it's not the best because Wraith King will get solo XP here. I think he will. From this wave that like runs down here. But if he's gonna farm the hard camp, yeah, he will. He's gonna farm the hard camp, and the creep wave that gets pulled, and you even stacked it for him, so he's going to just like skyrocket ahead. And even though I said like we do just want Wraith King to get experience, like there is still a degree to that, right? Where trading one wave of XP for Wraith King for 2 hard camps in a wave for Underlord, like that is not going to help in the long run. So even up to this point, I still feel like you could technically have salvaged the lane, but it would require Wraith King to kind of know what to do. Raindrop. Well, let's see how long these last. Maybe I have the wrong feeling about it. This guy just keeps coming up too much. At a point, there's only so much you can do, man. So I don't blame you for this guy like constantly dying. But I am trying to point out like the different stuff you can do, like as the lane is getting progressively worse. But we are very close to the point where it's so bad. I don't know like how to salvage it if you like if this happens every time. Some games are not meant, like, just won't work out, and it's not like, it's no stress. Eventually there will be games that work out when you do the right thing.
Radiant's mid tower's coming apart.
You can be a little closer, especially because you have the ward. Like, I'd be close enough to get XP. I think standing back this far is kind of like pointless. You're not getting like anything. Oh, you have to stand next to him. You can't let him take all the damage alone. Oh, he's going in. This is... okay. Let's see. Look how little your Magro Fire did because he has the... okay. So, that was great for you guys, but your carry died. So, what does that mean for us? It means it was good for you, but your carry is just so far behind. At this point, you need to ditch this lane. After all that happened, I would abandon this lane because Wraith King is 5. Not leveled Mortal Strike. There's nothing for you to do in this lane, especially because he has the wrong skill build. So... I don't know. You are quite ahead. Let's compare your other lanes real quick. What's the net worth key? Necrophos is doing well. He's actually beating out PL somehow. I think this guy started solo and has been playing solo a lot, and he's beating PL. What that means is you need to go top with your level 7, your fully maxed dual breath and macro pyre. Hopefully a landed arrow, but against the PL, that's pretty tough. You guys need to come... I just moved it back to free camp. You guys need to come top, help this guy out. He even bought a mech. This is a pushing build right here. You need to help this guy just shove this lane in, bully this PL out, possibly kill a sniper. The 3 of you playing top would be really strong. And Wraith King is going to not come to this lane because alone he will just die. And in theory, if Wraith King had his 3 levels in Mortal Strike right now, he would have skeletons to help him farm the jungle. And if you've been watching all the videos, I can't even remember what video I said it, but you need to kill about 3 camps to break even instead of laning. And with 6 skeletons and level 5, Wraith King can do it. With 3 points in stun and 1 point in Mortal Strike, Wraith King cannot do it. He still has to try, though, because that is the best for your team. Maybe Wraith King can take... No, it's unreasonable to say take mid. I don't think pub players at this rank like ever do that. You still have to come top. It's still the correct play. Just leave this carry alone. Because honestly, if you do everything right down here to help him, like, I think we've seen that he's not going to make use of it anyways. So you need to come up here, try to make space, try to help Necrophos get even stronger, and try to hold this guy down. Wraith King will eventually... You can even say it like, please don't go to bottom lane, just go farm the jungle. Even with these abilities, this is still better. Like, this is really unideal, but compared to, like, dying in lane repeatedly against an Underlord, versus farming maybe just one jungle camp a minute, that is still preferable than trying to come to lane solo at this point. And then you guys just try to make space, get some towers for him. Just really what'll probably happen is that you'll come up here and force Underlord up here. Or maybe you'll force both supports up here. And then hopefully Wraith King will not die 1v1 against, say, Underlord. Because he should just be able to stun him and walk away, for example, and not get himself killed. We are going to zoom through the rest of this because actually, we're just going to stop. Like, 40 minutes. I'll go take a look at the other game and see what thoughts on I have. This might be a long video. Maybe I'll stop it here. Actually, we will probably just attach the Bane video on. But for this game, the big thing you needed to know was that this first kill here, actually, this is like the third kill, but when Mirana hit that arrow, but Underlord was like level 3 and you guys were all level 1, I think Mirana was level 2, which was the most useless level 2 out of all of you guys, because usually she should take Leap, and Leap does like very little at this point. Your level 2 would have been okay. His level 2 would have been preferable to help him farm more. But like this fight is when the lane like really got ruined, because he died again without teleport. Mirana then left the lane at that point, and you are now starting like essentially both of you level 1 against their level 3 and 2, and that's like insane. That's so hard to come back from. And honestly, the lane went better than it should from that point. And pulling a lot more, I think I mentioned plenty of times where you could have pulled. That would have helped salvage the lane a little bit. But ultimately, this lane was kind of lost at that point. And I don't think it was fully your fault because Wraith King just like died on his own. But your response to this lane should be to constantly look to pull every chance you get. And the most you can do is tell this guy, I am going to pull constantly. Please just play safe. Get experience to level 5. Level your Mortal Strike, and then you can go farm. And I mean, you shouldn't really micromanage your teammates, but I'll leave it up to you if you think that's like something you can say, depending how this guy seems to be receptive or not. But that is what should happen. And it clearly didn't happen this game, so we're going to move on to the next one now. Next up, we have a Bane game that is a really... What is this enemy draft, actually? I don't think it's that weird, but it's really difficult to know where they're laning. And that's kind of our first step when we approach this lane. So it's probably Ancient Apparition 5. And I would say a Drow carry, because Drow mid is possible, but I just don't think it's very good. She loses most matchups. Could be a 4 Mirana or a 4 Axe. Mirana mid makes the most sense. But technically you could do like Axe offlane, Mirana 4 with like a Bristle carry and then a Drow mid. Because this is an unranked game. And there's some like parties in, so like sometimes you get some weird stuff. So in this case, what I might do, so instead of buying the Sage's Mask, so let's say I like these 3 items. I think Tango's Salve, and Clarity is good. Sentry, I can agree with that. Your lane will struggle a bit against some of these matchups. It's not necessarily a lost lane, but it will be tough, especially if they block one of your camps. So I like the Sentry. The Sage's Mask, though, I feel, unless you plan on getting a Basilius really early, is not the best. And I also don't like it because it's a greedy item if you think you're going to be in a tough lane. Especially now that it got nerfed. I might not buy this item. Potentially buy a Mango instead. But I might just leave it. And that would give you, unfortunately, slightly too little gold. So in that case, I probably would buy 1 Mango and then save the rest of my money. Come out to lane and see if you can find if Bristle's in your lane. If Bristleback is in your lane, you can buy a stick. And then that'll be really good for you. Because you're going to get a lot of mana back to use for Brain Sap, and that would be fantastic. So if you can identify that Bristle is in this lane, that'd be really good. Did you click this hero? No. I really recommend get in the habit of selecting this hero right off the bat. Let's see. Did you get the ward?
30 seconds to showtime.
So you saw him in a questionable position, right? The only reason you come out here usually is to ward, but you need to click him. Because sometimes you will see whether they actually have the ward and you will see it disappear, which means they placed it, or you will see they have it. And maybe what happened is he saw you and decided, okay, I don't want to ward, and just ran away. And if we click him, he still has his ward. So if you had clicked him, you wouldn't have put your sentry down. And maybe you'll be lucky and he'll still end up placing his ward in there. But odds are they should click on you. I mean, they might not check your items either, but they should click on you, see that you had a sentry, it's now gone, and he should know, like, oh, it's probably in that area. If I ward, I'm going to now place it, like, over here. So really try to click people before you de-ward. And even if I clicked him and I didn't see a ward in here, okay? So let's say he did place it, but I didn't see him do it. Like, I saw him look suspicious, but I wasn't able to see that he had a ward and it dropped. What I might do then is note that, okay, there's probably an observer here, or at least there's a high chance there can be. Then I'm going to wait to try to spot, like, as these carries come to, these heroes come to lane. I'm looking at the minimap. You can't see them right now. But I would check them. Like, let's say Ancient Apparition walks out here, and you're given vision by your teammates. I click him, and I see, oh, okay, one observer ward is bottom. That means there can only be one other ward. So maybe it's in the mid lane. That would be very common. Turns out that's not what's going to happen this game. But sometimes you'll also be able to tell if it's in the mid lane. Like, sometimes they walk out too far when placing it, or sometimes they don't even place it beforehand. They walk to lane with it, and then they drop it. This is why clicking on the heroes at the very start of the game, as soon as you see them, is very good to see, like, look for these wards. And then, so let's say I spotted that mid and bottom had a ward. Then I'd know, okay, he was just out here suspiciously, but that means he can't have a ward. And if I only see that bottom has a ward and that I wasn't able to tell if middle had one, I might then say, like, okay, you know what? It's probably worth dropping a sentry and checking this area. Sorry, a lot there. Also, I'm looking at the minimap right now. I'm checking. I just saw... Okay, actually, you shouldn't see this area. That's a glitch. But you can see purple on the minimap, who's Bristleback. And you should go click him right now to know if he's not the mid laner. If he was the mid laner, he probably would have shared tangos. Bristleback mid is a little weird, but you can't really rule anything out. And you should always come and click on them, check what their items are, and see, like, okay, this is probably an off-lane kind of build. You know, anytime there's shared tangos, probably the mid laner. And if you clicked him, so let's go back to our idea where you didn't buy the Sage's Mask right away, and you're just floating. So in this case, you'd be floating just too little. You'd be at a 185. Potentially, you could not buy a Clarity, but honestly, I'm okay with you buying a Clarity and maybe even a Mango. But the second I see Bristleback here, I want to queue up a Magic Stick. And if I did have more than 200 gold, I would buy that Magic Stick right now. So let's say you didn't start with a Sentry. I'm okay with you starting a Sentry because of the lane matchups. But let's say it's a lane where you don't need to start with a Sentry. Then I would save all that money. So not buy the Sage's Mask, not buy the Sentry. And then I would have more than 200 gold. I would come here, and if I see him right now, I am buying the stick and having it come out to me right now. And it'll make it to me. You know, he'll probably use a couple quill space right here. But unless we force a fight, like, he won't use too many. And then he's going to use a lot in the laning stage, and by that time, my courier will have made it to me, and I'll have the stick. And a stick against Bristleback is pretty worth it, I think. So here we are. I'd be careful about both of you walking down here. I think it's pretty good for someone to stand on the high ground to give vision. It's a pub. You can have fun, you know, and it's unranked, so I don't mind being too goofy.
And here we go.
I hear an arrow. So that is the risk of doing this kind of stuff. You're gonna die. Yeah. It's okay. It's just an unranked game. I would definitely not recommend doing that in a pub. But in this kind of game, you know, it's whatever. Who cares? So by the way, so you placed your sentry here. And if you had then checked him later and seen that he still had the ward, you could have bought a sentry with your bought a sentry with your money, returning to this lane to be ready to try again. Because if you place this one and you didn't catch it, then odds are it's on this half, and we can see through the mini-map bug that it's over here. You don't necessarily know that right now, though. We'll see if there's anything that gives that away as this lane goes. Okay. This is gonna be some real minute stuff. This auto attack, this is good. This auto attack also good. This one is good. That one is good. This one is not good. Now that you're like next to the creeps, I think this is out of position. I said it was gonna be minute, right? You're like here versus here. Here was good, and then here is too close to this stuff, which makes it too easy, in my opinion, for them to come up to you to attack. And if you try to fight back here, you're going to aggro creeps. Whereas before, you were like back here a bit and attacking, and that was not within aggro range. But now, see, like you walked up all the way up to here, and always envision what is surrounding you. So both the enemy heroes are over here, and they're on either side of you, but they are like on this lower half. But then the creeps were technically on the other side of you, which means if you keep trying to attack, like if they charge at you now, you definitely can't fight, and you just have to run away. Now you didn't, I don't think you aggroed the actual creeps, which is good. No, you did. I take it back. If you don't aggro creeps, it can be okay, but you still have to be careful, because just because you don't aggro the creeps doesn't mean you're not in a bad position to be attacked by the enemies, and that if you try to fight now, you do aggro the creeps. So we generally want to avoid that stuff. Now I want you... Okay, you've now taken enough damage where I think you should Brain Sap already, because you have a Sage's Mask. And honestly, when you teleported back to the lane, you might have tried to use Brain Sap right away, and if you can't, it's okay. But because you have a Sage's Mask, like, you're just wasting your passive regen right now. So you really need to get to the point where you can Brain Sap already, and because it's going to heal you, we want to... Like, you want to trade like you are right now, and you've now taken damage, so now we're going to Brain Sap, heal about 100 damage, and use up some mana so that our Sage's Mask can start getting to work. And even if we didn't have the Sage's Mask, we still want our passive mana regen. This is kind of how Bane functions. He wants to lower his health and then Brain Sap. You're also very cost effective in your damage, especially at level 2, and that's why Bane is one of the heroes where you can buy like a couple mangoes and then try to save them for when you hit level 3. Or you can spam that on level 1. It kind of depends on the heroes. I won't say you can't ever do that. What do I want to say there? Don't want to say anything there. I kind of do, but the issue is he's just getting too close, right? You're a ranged hero. You don't need to be right here. And the fact that is that they have 2 creeps as well. He just shouldn't get this close. If he's running at you, don't auto attack yet. Just back away, and then when he turns around and stops chasing you, that's when you turn around and auto attack. But when he's running at you like this, and you're at half health because you haven't Brain Sapped yet, as soon as you dropped below, let's say 150 health, because just in the same way we want our passive mana to be healing up, what am I saying? The passive mana to regen, we also want our passive health regen to be going. So if we drop 100 health and then Brain Sap and heal it all, I know it's magic, so there's like some resistances, but like ignore that first. But if you fully heal on the Brain Sap, then you're now not making use of your like 3.3 health regen. So like when you drop to like say 150 and then you'll heal for about 75 because of reductions, now you still have 75 missing health. That's your passive regen will go. You've now used mana, but not too much, so like you're still ready to use up your spells if need be. But yeah, you didn't need to let him run in, especially now that you're at half, right? If you were at full health, it's a different issue because you can let him damage you some so that you can now Brain Sap. But you've already taken damage, so there's no need to let him get this close, especially with 2 enemy creeps still around here. I'm not sure what happened there, that like random pause. So now you're kind of low though, and you're just gonna need to look to Brain Sap. Okay, Hold on, right here. So I like that you're coming to pull. As soon as you see him in your current position, run right back. The way Battle Hunger works, I mean, you don't know if he has Battle Hunger. Oh, you should know it's kind of a long cooldown level 1. And so if it just faded, then he doesn't have it yet. But if he does get it on you, not only does it do damage, but it also slows you down and speeds him up. So you will never outrun this guy. Plus, he started with an Orb of Venom, which means anytime he auto attacks you, you're like extra slow. So running the way you did, so like a bit of a reaction time, that's not too big of a deal. But running this way is never going to work out for you. Because as soon as he gets one auto attack off or Battle Hunger, look how far you're going to have to run. You're going to have to run all the way back here. And these creeps will not help you because of the change, which was meant to be a nerf to an off lane, and it mostly is. But in niche cases like this, it has made it easier for the 4 support to dive the 5 support back here. Previously, he would now tank all these creeps, and that wouldn't be good, especially for a 4 support axe. But now he's not worried about that. And you're probably just going to die here. Okay, I think you actually would have lived if you had just kept running this way. But now you're turning back, which is like, you were like here, and you could have made it here. But now you're like running all the way back here. And now I think you're definitely going to die. Yeah. So yeah, not much more to say to that. Then you just need to know which way to run. I would buy... So usually if you had a Sage's Mask, this is where you would buy your Basilius. But against a Bristleback, I feel like a stick is really good value. Yeah, I would just go with a stick. Maybe check if PA needs any items brought to her. Doesn't look like she does. She already has her courier going. You could teleport. I think it would be okay. There's nothing else you really have to do. And I think if you had teleported right away, you might have been able to pull or stack. Let's see. Yeah, so you respawn. Yeah, you definitely would have made it in time to pull. So I think that would have been worthwhile to teleport and then go pull. Or to stack, one or the other. I think pulling would be good here. Yeah, so if you're going to buy the Windlace, then you didn't really need a Sage's Mask. I'm going to guess you got the Windlace because you felt like Axe was running you down. But you actually out-trade Axe. And in fact, your post says this, where you felt like you were getting run at, and then, like, after you hit level 3 or 4, you were then able to, like, trade properly and get kills. Which is so funny you say that, because you actually just solved your own issue. Like, that is exactly it. You identified, okay, Axe is actually stronger than you, level 1 or 2, and you just need to play passive. You need to be, like, a little scared. Don't let him approach you. And then once you get... Level 3 is huge for you. Like, look at Brain Sap. 100 damage and a 100 heal for you with reduction. So let's just say 75 because it's now magic damage. 75 damage, 75 heal for 90 mana. 90 mana is not that bad. You're an int hero. So overall pretty good. When you hit level 2, it is 200. 150 if you want to factor in reductions for 115 mana. Like, that scaling is really good. And if you look at Battle Hunger, it goes from 16 damage to 24 damage, sure. But you're gonna get free healing while he takes damage. And the fact that you can also get rid of Battle Hunger by killing a creep, honestly, at higher levels, people, like the carries, will let you get last hits. They'll be like they'll ping me. They'll be like, hey, get this melee creep to get rid of your Battle Hunger. And it's like, wow, thanks. You know, I don't even know if position 4 Axe is going to max out Battle Hunger. Offlane Axes will typically max counter Helix. I don't know about position 4 Axe. He might not get the second level of Battle Hunger. He's pulling. You missed the pull because you weren't sure if you were to teleport. And honestly, that's okay if you're, like, unsure. So right here, what's the fastest way to get back to base right now from where you are? Because this is a bad spot to be in, because he slowed you and he has Orb of Venomed you. And you'll notice that your Windlace does not do, like, anything when he applies both of these slows. You're at 237. You know, having a Windlace does not matter in this lane, in my opinion, because he has such strong slows. and because he can apply them from a distance. So, like a Windlace versus Clockwork is typically good because Clockwork has to get right on top of you before he actually slows you. But against an Axe, who can battle hunger you from quite a ways, quite a distance, means he slows you and then he catches up, and so your Windlace like loses a lot of value there. That's one reason why I would have liked the stick, because every time he casts a spell, you'll get a charge, but more importantly, every time this guy casts a spell, you'll get a charge. And if you just played the lane normally, so like say you didn't try to do too much pulling, you just sat in the lane and you got every charge on your stick from this Bristleback. What that means is, if we look at your Brain Sap, which is already a very effective heal and pretty cheap in terms of mana, every time this guy casts some Quill Sprays and gives you more mana, you take damage, and it's like, it's whatever, because you stick, you heal some damage, you heal mana, and then you Brain Sap with that mana and heal even more. That's why I think stick is so good in this lane, and in general against Bristleback. But then it's like particularly value with Bane because of the Brain Sap in this case. Whereas I think these two just don't do nearly enough for you, and I would much rather see like a stick for your first item, and then you know what, Windlace can even still be your second item, but you just really need the stick. I think Windlace could be your item. Yeah, I'm not sure what else I would pick for you, actually. I think Windlace into... You could get Arcane Boots. I think that would be fine. Bane really likes them. Oh, but anyways, I forgot. Sorry, my original point. What is the fastest path from here back to base? It's not this way. It is cutting through here and cutting this tree. And as soon as you get here, you're safe. Whereas this way is like all the way around and a curving path. This is just like, the longer you let him chase you, the more damage you're going to take. Whereas if you cut to the shortest route, he can't attack you. And then when he turns around because he can't go under tower, that is when you turn around and hit him. But when you run this way, so like, yeah, he turned around, but you can't hit him now because these trees are blocking your line of sight. Whereas over here, you come here. If he turns around here, then you just Brain Sap. You like auto attack and Brain Sap him. And if he chases you like all the way into here, then like you have time to turn around, and yeah, he might break vision here, but you can honestly, like, sometimes you can stick your head out and then auto attack and Brain Sap and then head back in when you see him turn around. And sometimes he'll wait here for you. You have to be a little careful of that. But again, you just attack, Brain Sap, and then immediately retreat or something. But you're sitting at like full health or low health but full mana, and like Brain Sap is meant to like balance this out. It like turns your mana into health essentially. And yeah, I would cut this, and then I would, like, you've used your salve, you're going to heal all the way up, but now if you use Brain Sap, it's not going to do anything for you, right? In terms of healing. Like, look how long you're sitting at a... Wow, this guy dug up an immortal treasure too, that's wild. But like, look how long you're sitting at full mana. Nightmare, you don't want to use for fun. Nightmare is so expensive. Nightmare is essentially 2 Brain Saps. I know it's like a little less, but still, it's a really expensive spell. You only want to use it when you really have to. And right here, I do not think it was one of those cases. You never want him to get in range of you. So here, you chase him. I think this is okay. I don't like when you run this way. I want you to stay near here when he runs this way. Because you're always thinking about, like, what's my shortest way back? And if you stay around here, like, it's faster. But running this way, you're, like, leaving this distance. This is extremely minute. But this is just, like, the small positioning things. Where, I don't know if you guys can hear Nightmare right now. But, like, this whole time where you're moving him, and you're running out further from the tower, I don't like that. I want you to, like, attack, move, and run in towards your tower a bit. And then, like, you're moving forward again, but that's, like... I don't know, it's just not what you want to do. You want to be, like, attack moving into this side. Oh, my goodness. How do we get rid of this Nightmare sound? Alright, we're good. Okay, but you get a pull here. Oh, unfortunate. Yeah, just be a little careful. I think you know what. I'm sure you realize what went wrong there, but you need to like not move too far so they can auto attack you still. But you like kept running out of range, so they never auto attacked. Um, did she buy a stick? She did. Um, I should have done a comparison of like how many times she gets to use stick versus your none to show you how much potential regen she got. And in fact, let's do it. When did she buy a stick though? Actually. Doesn't have one yet. Okay, you just got one. She's missed probably like 10 to 15 charges, I would guess. That's probably a little too many. It's probably like 10 charges. So let's see. Why am I sitting in free cam? Let's go on hers. We're just gonna watch her stick charges build up. Maybe she didn't get that many actually. That's what happens when you don't get it at the very start. Oh, and she's not laning too near him. Oh, so she literally only had those 6. Disappointing. But I think he tends to use more at the very start, and that's why it's really nice to start stick. But in this game, I was like unsure if you could because their laning is a little weird, or their hero picks are a little weird. So it's like I'm not sure where Bristle is. But she's also missed some charges because she like wasn't standing too far near. I don't know. It's the same thing where you're looking for him and you're moving out further than I want you to. Like, I really want you to hug these, like, near the trees, near this stuff. And the fact that he keeps playing over here should kind of give you an idea that he might have a ward here. Like, doesn't he seem to be here every single time you come out here? He shouldn't really know that, you know? He seems to, like, know when you're a little further out than you'd like. This would be a case where Nightmare is really nice. Either for yourself or to use on him. I think you're dead. I think you just... I mean, I think you're still dead, but you kind of have to commit to just running straight down. And in fact, if you run straight down and maybe even brain sap him, you're good. Or you could even Nightmare. It looks like you have enough mana. Let's double check. Yeah, but this positioning is just a little awkward. Yeah, you have enough to Nightmare right now. Nightmare, and then... Actually, you're dead. I think this does too much damage. Yeah, you're probably just dead. Oh, no, well, maybe if you brain sap, you might survive. You're probably still dead there. In fact, let's double check your positioning here, just to see why you died. I think when you're this low, you can't really chase out. And I think you should, like, let her know. You should be like, PA, I can't go. I'm too far. Or I'm too low. And don't forget this tower gives an aura to regen. So, like, if you are this low and you can't quite leave yet, you might want to stay near the tower. But you're, like, once again, you're kind of, like, far away. When, like, you could very much be chasing or, like, watching the chase, but, like, over here. Or, like, over here. Why does this Nightmare keep happening like this? I'm so confused. I don't understand. Let's go look bottom a bit. Okay, we're good now. I mean, you're dead, but... Let's see what you buy. Got 300 gold. I still want to stick at this point. And maybe a sentry. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't know he had a ward here. It is a little sneaky. This is another case where Nightmare is really good. Nightmare him and then break his sentry. Or let's pretend you're a hero that isn't Bane. Right here, as soon as you see him running to your ward, save your auto attack, let him hit once, and then deny your own observer. This is if you don't have a stun or something. So like Bane, he can Nightmare Axe and then break the sentry, and then he'll be okay. And then maybe later you still deny your own observer because you know he's gonna get another sentry to get this. But if you're someone like Vengeful Spirit, you can stun them, and then if you think you can auto attack their sentry twice, depending where you've stunned them, like maybe you can deny their sentry, maybe you can let them attack once and then stun them and then deny your own observer. But like 123 gold, that is a lot for Axe, along with some experience. So anytime you can deny your own observers from them is really good. and then you would just take this later. Or he gets your sentry, and it's like, whatever, you know? But you see how little... I just want to point out how little Nightmare does in terms of damage. Because it doesn't do any, you know? Unless you're auto-attacking them, it's just, like, not doing anything. And yeah, you can probably auto-attack, like, 3 times. But it's just way more cost-effective to use Brain Sap. Bane is a hero that really plays around Brain Sap. Like, you really need to know why you want to use Nightmare or not. Because otherwise, it's just such an expensive spell. And you want to Brain Sap someone. Actually, you're close to level 3. You're standing kind of far away. I want you to stand closer, hit level 3. Yeah, he still has this. Like, isn't this suspicious? Every single time you're back here, he runs up. You know, that should give it away a bit, I think. And maybe that's unfair for me to say because I know he has a ward there, so I'm like, oh, it's so obvious. But yeah, anytime you feel like, oh, this guy is always on my case, that should make you think they have vision. Because they should not always be on your case. By just sheer luck, some of the time you should be okay. If it's just like random chance of them checking and you're like, oh, he's not here, I'm going to go do something else, and then you like get through. But if he's there every single time you back out here, they have a ward. They have to. Otherwise, he's literally just spending all his time here, and he's the luckiest guy in the world. But you really have to check for like a sentry. And I know you were with your like your sentry over here earlier, but then he like played here the whole time, and it's like, really, he's got to be doing something, right? He even refreshed it because he got away with the first one, and like he knows how valuable this vision has been for him. Like every time you come out here, he beats you down. And so if he continues doing this in the next couple minutes, that should really be a giveaway. Okay, we now have level 2 Brain Sap. We're going to do better in terms of trading. So right now I would look for this deny. And then Battle Hunger is wasted. Right? I mean, it's not wasted. It does a little bit of damage. But Axe is not a hero that has a huge mana pool. So every time you can get rid of Battle Hunger for free on like a deny, that would be great. And you wouldn't be taking all this damage. It does, let's see, what is it? 12 seconds, 16 damage. So that is, why did I offer to do math on like 100 reductions? It's like 110-ish damage. And then with 24 damage, it's like 230. Like, it is a lot over time. No, what am I saying? It's less than 200. Right? It's like right around 200. Math is hard. But the point is, if you get rid of it, that is a lot of damage you are not going to take. So look for that. Aw, rip Courier. You don't need tangos anyways. You're Bane. All your health regen comes from Brain Sapping people. Well, it's kind of okay. See, I don't know if you even need to back it. I think you sit there with a clarity and you Brain Sap people. Every time you Brain Sap, you heal 150 health. You Brain Sap this guy let's say twice. You Brain Sap this guy twice, you have healed 300 and you've done 300 damage. You know, 300 heals would put you at like 460. It put this guy down here at like 160. And then he has a stick, sure, but like same with this Axe. You Brain Sap him once or twice without him. It's hard to approach Axe without him battle hungering you. So maybe the Bristleback. But I feel like you didn't have to TP out here. I think you have a clarity and you have like enough mana to pretty much cast Brain Sap twice. I feel like you can clarity and stay in here a little longer. That is kind of pushing the limits. I don't hate that you TP'd out, but it does leave her in a very, very bad spot. Let's speed up a little. I don't know if tangos are worth it either, because if you think about it, so like the amount of damage this does at this point, roughly 200, you need like 2 tangos to heal 1 battle hunger. It's just not, it's not feasible, gold wise. But if you Brain Sap him and trade, like, it's a little better. 1 level 2 Brain Sap kind of cancels out the damage from battle hunger, doesn't it? Okay, nice. Wop comes top, gets a kill. Wait, did you buy another set of tangos? Okay, this is too much money on consumables, definitely. It kind of worked out here. Oh, she died. It kind of worked out here, but I don't even know if you need to nightmare him, honestly. I think you just brain sap him as soon as you see him and auto attack. And if he tries to get away, then you nightmare. I think her running back is probably her own death, so we won't worry about it. I would like to pull right now. Oh, it's too late. Maybe you can do a hard pull. It's probably not good. Okay, I would say sit in this lane right now and then do a small pull for the next wave. So, like, you can get XP here. You're moving a little too soon. So, like, you're here at 38, so you have about 10 seconds, a little less. So let's see how many creeps you could have stayed here for. Keeping in mind that you already walked away from a couple of them. Pretty much gonna miss these two. I'm sorry, that's not a fair comparison, actually. Let's go back to, what am I saying? So here is when you should have stayed, right? So you'd be like here, and I think you could get this, you would get this XP, and then maybe you could auto attack like one of these to get that, and then you leave, and then I think you would make it on time. But you do get the pull, and that's probably the more important thing. But I do think you could like improve it a little bit by getting that XP from like 1 or 2 creeps and then run over. That would just be a minor detail. But the overall correct play was to pull, and you got that part right. So I'm happy with that. I would definitely be auto-attacking those. Pass this to, you should pass this to your carries. Yeah, definitely pass it to your carries. She doesn't have anything. This is really good. 6 stats. Think about it this way. 6 stats is like... Oops, what am I doing? It's a little better than a crown. It's like a crown and 2 iron branches. So let's round it out to say it's like... Technically, it's 550 gold, but the fact that it's in 1 free slot, you can... Let's say it's 600 gold. You can just pass 600 gold to your carry right here. That is like securing her like 2 to 3 creep waves. Just by passing this value of stats to her. So I think it's really worthwhile to give that to her. Oh, nice. Okay. Do keep in mind it's 10 minutes. So PA is going to get it, but you should really... So yeah, I want you to think about it. Where you're placing your sentry. I mean, I'm sure it's obvious to you now because I was talking about it, but if he had a ward in this area, like let's say he had one here, does it make sense that he caught you every time you were walking back here? Not really. The vision has to be in this area. And the fact that, like let's say it's over here, he won't see you until you cross these trees. So it's weird that it's not like you come out here and then he reacts. It's like, as soon as you pop out, he is already here, which means he had to be moving here as soon as you were here. And the only way to do that is if he has vision back here. And so, like, this sentry will not cover, like, what if he had a ward here? Why would he have seen you back here? It just doesn't work. And so maybe he's getting a bit lucky, and maybe he just has a ward that sees back here, which could include, like, something like here, which is cut off a bit, but, like, maybe it could be, like, further back here. So the sentry should be like placed here and spotting these potential areas. I don't know. You just need to connect the fact that he was always on top of you, which means he knows what you're doing. And if he always knows what you're doing, you have to ask yourself, okay, when is he reacting to what I'm doing? Is it I start moving here and he's already in position? And then it's like he can see here. If it's not until I'm over here and then he suddenly starts moving over, that means he probably has it like further out. You need to like think about when they seem to react to you. And I think if you did think about it, it would have been a bit more obvious that the ward is over here and then you would have gotten this ward. And that was part of the whole, like, honestly, this ward made it so that he could bully you out like this. Like, I pointed out some positioning stuff, but this ward is what enabled him to constantly be on your case, constantly kick you, battle hunger you, Orb of Venom you every time you stepped out was because he could see exactly what you were doing. I think Bane, in general, probably could beat an Axe. If you like stay around here a bit, cancel Battle Hunger on some denies, maybe even stealing a last hit, I think is fine. And if there are carries mad, just be like, I'm sorry, let's just get rid of Battle Hunger. Honestly, it's worth it. If you're a carry player watching this and you're like, is it worth it? It is worth it, because think how much damage your support would take, and if they get too low, they have to leave, and that means you can get bullied out of like an entire wave or two. So give up one creep so that your support can stay healthy and help you secure like future entire waves of creeps. It's very worthwhile to get rid of Battle Hunger. And Bane is a hero who trades really well with Brain Sap, and I think you can even beat Axe if you don't let him get on top of you like every time you turn this corner. Like sometimes you have to mix it up, pop out here. Or like, okay, you know what? I'm losing back here every single time and I don't have a sentry. Why don't I just play here with like my, hopefully you would have a stick. And then just like auto attack. Look for denies on the creeps and then Brain Sap when that's off cooldown. And then Axe has to run all the way here if he wants to fight you, and he has to run amongst the creeps. And then it's like, okay, now I'm going to back up over here. And if he runs over here, then you're just like, okay, I'll back. Like, I'll just keep running back and forth like this. And if it seems like too obvious that he's always like in the right spot, then it's like, okay, he probably has vision back here. They shouldn't usually be able to see back here. That's another thing that leads you to like know that they have a ward there. Now all of that, and you guys aren't that far behind, really. So she's 6, but your carry's 7. I guess they were just having a rough time in the bottom lane. I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening there. You are a little bit behind AA, not a huge deal. Drow and PA are pretty close. So even though you were having a really tough time, your lane went like kind of okay. So just imagine, like everything else in the game still happens normally, but with what we've talked about, you have slightly better positioning, you win the trades a little bit better. Now your team is just going to be ahead by a couple hundred gold at this point. This is how we can win games as supports, where like you made several mistakes and it still is like kind of even in this game. So if you just like start to delete some small mistakes, like you'll just put your team ahead naturally. I guess we can watch a little more. What are we at? We're probably at a pretty long video already, actually. Bought the tome pretty quickly. I think the Sage's Mask can probably be reduced. I think starting Sage's Mask is going to be not so popular now after this recent patch nerfed it. Only if you plan to buy the Basilius really quickly, which PA is a hero that benefits from that, but it's still a greedy build, and it's something I don't think you can do against, like, whatever the combination of heroes it is in the offlane. I think it's too strong to do that kind of greedy build. I could be wrong. At this point, should you be here? I guess your carry left. Yeah, you can be here. But I think you should be, like, pinging someone else to come here so you can go contribute. Especially as your ult is getting here. I would also buy a smoke with this, actually. So buy a smoke and then bring this out, and then you can go smoke with, like, Queen of Pain, and it's a free kill, right? You ult. As long as it's not Bristleback, you will kill a Drow, you will kill Mirana, you will kill Ancient Apparition, and maybe you can even kill Axe because he played as a support this time. But honestly, you're probably looking for the Drow kill. And then Quap won't even have to ult because you'll Nightmare. I mean, look how long she has to hit him. She has 6 seconds, and you're doing damage this whole time. So all she has to do is, like, Q her, and then auto-attack while you're ulting, and then she uses Scream of Pain to secure the kill for herself. But what that means is that she doesn't have to ult, and that you just wait for Drow to respawn, go somewhere, and then you kill her again. But this time, like, you just Brain Sap and maybe you Nightmare. Like, you Nightmare to set it up, Brain Sap, auto attack a couple times, then Quap blinks in, Q, E, ult, Drow is dead a second time. This is how you can, like, create action as the support. That would be my next plan for you. And in fact, you know what? Before we stop, let's make sure you didn't just do that, so I didn't, like maybe you already did it. Let's see, you get this. I mean, you didn't buy a smoke, but maybe you are still going to go make a play with your ult. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like you're still up here. I would say it's really hard to get a kill. Like, who's in the top lane? It's been Bristleback and Axe. So when we were talking about who can we kill with Quap, we were like, these two are the hard ones. Quap has a ton of damage. Does PA have a ton of damage? No. So if it's hard for you to kill one of these two with Quap, it's going to be like almost impossible to kill them with PA. That's why, like, who's your playmaker right now? It's the Queen of Pain. And where are our potential targets? It is mid and bottom. So that's why you don't really want to keep playing top as Bane at this point. You do have your smoke, though. We'll keep watching until we see what you do. This was super unnecessary, I think. I don't think you need to... I don't think you need to smoke right here. This guy will apply enough like slows that I think you can just run over naturally, and you would make it in time. Yeah, you could have ran without smoking. Will this nightmare work? Okay. Part of that worked because Spirit Breaker was here, but that guy also... Maybe you do more damage than I realized. I guess this is like 600 damage, isn't it? And then this is also quite a lot. So maybe you can kill these guys. But even then, I still think it's easier with Queen of Pain rather than PA. And it worked out this time because Spirit Breaker's up here. But in general, you're going to want to like plan to play around either your PA or even Phoenix will have quite a lot of damage, don't you think? If you ult someone and this guy uses Fire Spirits and Sunray, maybe he even like uses Egg, you'll definitely kill someone. And in the early game, committing like Fiend's Grip and Egg to kill the carry, I think that's fine. I don't think you would even need to commit both. I think just one would kill her. And then you could do it again, second time, same way that we described it as Quap. I wouldn't dive. Okay. All right, we'll stop here. I think we covered enough on the laning phase, and this video is going to be, what, hour and a half? A little more. Yeah, actually a little less. Math is clearly not my strong suit. I think that's it. Hopefully that was helpful. I think if I had to sum it up, the first game, itemization was solid. Actually, I can't even remember the first game now. It was the Jakiro one. Honestly, I can't remember it. I said it and I'm forgetting it. If I vaguely remember that, I thought your itemization was fine, and I think they were just like pulls I thought you missed. Oh, it was the game against Underlord. Oh no, it was the Wraith King that was like really... I don't blame you for the first game. I think all you have to do in that game is try to pull a little more, but like honestly, I don't think you can do much for the Wraith King. And then in this game, I think you could do... I think you should have been able to tell that there's a ward here, and if you didn't, hopefully now you have the knowledge, like with what I explained, to now always be thinking like, okay, is there a ward here? And you would have even known, you would have had a better idea if you had clicked him at the start of the game. And that kind of would have, funny enough, that is a very small thing, like seeing that he had a ward here, that ultimately led to you kind of getting really bullied in this lane, is because you didn't see he had a ward, and you didn't, if you had seen he still had it, you wouldn't have wasted your sentry here, and you would have like checked somewhere else for the sentry, for the ward later, and maybe you would have noticed to check here. It was like a lot of small things. This ward and getting bullied out prevented you from ever pulling. You had a couple like positioning things, but I think it all started with that ward. It's kind of funny how sometimes we can connect all our mistakes to like a single event that starts like here, or in that last game with that fight here where you guys went on the Underlord and shouldn't have. Oftentimes it is one mistake that snowballs into the rest. So hopefully that helped. I'll stop talking now. Goodbye, guys.